Good afternoon, fellow Floridians. Welcome back to Healthy Practices. I am your host, Chris Zara, a registered nurse working right here in downtown O-Town. If you're new to our podcast, I'd like to say thank you for joining us. We're glad you're here. Don't forget to like and subscribe. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about skin cancer. What is it exactly? When should you be concerned? And more importantly, how can it be prevented? So grab a cup of coffee, sit back, and enjoy today's show. To better understand skin cancer, let's quickly review what is considered healthy skin. Our skin is made up of three layers: the epidermis, dermis, and hypodermis, also called the subcutaneous or fatty layer of skin. The epidermis is the outermost layer of the skin, and it's made up of three different types of cells: squamous cells, basal cells, and melanocytes. Basal cells constantly make new skin cells, which become filled with keratin and turn into flattened squamous cells. These keratinocytes get pushed to the surface of our skin before dying and sloughing off. This full cycle takes about 4 weeks, and it's an essential process in creating a waterproof barrier that protects us from harmful elements in the environment. Right here in the Sunshine State, we have access to an abundance of vitamin D every time we walk out to our cars in the middle of the day. What we also get from the sun is a ton of exposure to harmful ultraviolet rays. These UV rays can damage the DNA in our skin cells, which is like destroying the recipe for healthy skin. Scientists don't fully understand the mechanism of injury in skin cancer. However, the medical community agrees that exposure to UV radiation is the biggest modifiable risk factor when it comes to skin cancer prevention. Other risk factors for skin cancers include immunosuppression, light-colored skin, personal or family history, repeated sunburns, geographic locations, and exposure to X-rays, gamma rays, and even arsenic. The CDC recommends that a person should report any unusual moles or changes in their skin to their doctor. But what does skin cancer look like? What's the difference between a normal mole, also called a nevus, and an unusual mole? Basal cell carcinomas can look like small red bumps, darkened freckles, or maybe even crusty sores that won't heal. As they progress, they typically have a depressed center, a rolled border, with small blood vessels on the surface. Squamous cell carcinomas, SCCs, may appear as whitish, discolored areas when still in the precancerous stage. The most common type of SCC appears as a lesion on the lower lip. This area often becomes thickened and evolves to form an ulcerated center with a raised border. Squamous cell carcinomas may spread to the surrounding blood vessels, giving them an opportunity to metastasize. SCCs account for 75% of the deaths associated with non-melanoma skin cancers. Melanoma is the rarest yet deadliest form of skin cancer. The most common type, lentigo malignant melanoma, or LMM, is often found in the elderly and confused with age spots. Melanomas have a high mutation rate stimulated by UV radiation. This gives us yet another reason to protect ourselves when heading outside. In 1985, a dermatologist by the name of Dr. Alfred Kopf designed the ABCDEs for melanoma detection to raise awareness and increase compliance with self-screenings. This easy-to-remember tool lists some of the criteria useful in diagnosing melanoma. So what can you do to protect yourself from the harmful effects of the sun? First of all, get to know your skin. If you really know what you look like, then it'll be easier for you to identify any changes so you can report them to your doctor quickly. Early diagnosis leads to early treatment, and that is key to reducing mortality from metastatic disease. The CDC also recommends that people include UV protection in their daily routine. Make it a habit to protect your skin when going outdoors, even in the wintertime. Wear your hats and your sunscreen and your long sleeve shirts. Stay out of direct sunlight and basically do everything that your mom told you to do when you were growing up. If we take care of our skin will take care of us. And that's important because it's your immune system's first line of defense. Keep out the bad, keep in the good, and don't forget to drink your water. That's all we have time for today, folks. Thanks again for joining us. I'm your host, Chris Zara, and I look forward to discussing more healthy practices with you next week. Bye-bye and be well.